All right. So I am here going live. This light is kind of annoying. Let's see. Anyone else here? I'm trying to set up my timer here. I wasn't able to do this a little earlier. I did a whole test the other day. I should have marked where everything was at so you can be able to see the timer properly. So let's see here. There we go. Okay, that's great. All right. I had a little technical snafu this morning because I had scheduled the live thinking that, everything was going to be connected okay. But when you schedule, which I found out today, it wants it to be streamed from a different source versus my actual computer camera. So, hello. Welcome. I'm Danita Jones. I am doing basically a co-working session this morning. And it's basically Write With Me. Over the years, I have always gotten up around 5 a.m. to write, but life has been lifing, and I've gotten completely off of my schedule of what I normally do. I'm a writer, I'm a television producer, and I really want to get back to working on my novel. And I have my Substack, which I talk about histories, untold stories. And my novel that I'm working on is Peter Crosby's life. And Peter Crosby was an elected Black sheriff in 1873 in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So today I am just focusing on my research, and hopefully some other people will join in or come in. And but since it looks like I'm the only one here currently, I'm actually just going to get started. I have the timer here. Basically, with these co-working sessions, I'm doing 25 minutes and then taking a 10-minute break. Oh, hey, Pepper. Hi. So happy to see you here. Good morning. So just going over what we're doing today. Can you hear me okay? Great. So, yay, I'm so happy you're here, Pepper. And we have to talk soon because I want to know how everything is going on in Vegas. So just explaining the whole setup, basically taking an hour, getting back to being committed to my craft of writing, and getting back on the horse again. Because, life be lifing, and so much stuff is always coming up. But I've always felt like over the years, if I always set a time to get up at 5 and get into the chair, get to the computer and get my work done, then I make progress. But if I just let it, go like, I'll start at 9. This is if I'm not working on a show. Start at 9 or 10. I start getting phone calls. The day gets away from me unless I go, sit at a coffee house and write there. But I thought right now this would be great to invite other people to also just get back on track with things that you wanted to do. It doesn't even have to be writing. It can be some other project you're working on. It could be just even open up your stack of mail that's been sitting over there. So it's gonna be 25 minutes of work, and then taking a 10-minute break, and we can chat, just take a pause to chat about what you're working on, if you have any questions about anything, and then go back for 25 more minutes, and then we will wrap up. So if you're ready, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the timer, and there'll be a little chime when it ends, and hopefully it won't be too alarming. Hopefully you can be able to hear it. If not, then I'll just say, hey, we're starting to go for the 10 minutes. So, all right, so let's get going. Mhm. Oh, good morning. Glad to have you here. We're already in our working session, so just go ahead and get started. Well, the timer didn't go off, but I'm going to set our break for 10 minutes. Okay. My iPad is turned down or something. Yes, it is. Okay. So how are you guys doing? Shanae, I'm so happy you're here. I'm glad both you and Pepper got up early, getting this done, getting it in. I am continuing my research on Peter Crosby. I'm going over the congressional hearings, the testimonies, and it's a pretty large document. It's taking me some time to get through because I keep stopping and starting over and so forth. But it's pretty interesting. What are you guys working on? You dragged yourself out of bed. I'm glad you did. And Pepper, I'm glad you're doing fine in Vegas. I know it's super hot there. I hardly ever go there. It's so hot. It's pretty hot in LA. It's been hot this past couple of weeks for sure. So yeah, I'm really right now I'm in the section, I'm going over Andrew Owen's testimony. He was one of the Black men that was yeah, you have Ben pointing directly at you right now. Yep, and I even have the air conditioner on even this early this morning too. But Andrew Owen, he's one of the Black men that were, oh, I don't even know if you know the story. Oh, you're working on writing a doc series. Oh, great. Awesome. Cool. So, so I know, I don't know if you know, but you probably do. So I don't know how much you've been on my Substack, but I've been working on Peter Crosby's story, who was the sheriff. He was elected in 1873, Black sheriff, first Black sheriff. He was formerly enslaved. And so his time in office led him up to, you know, let's see. Oh, okay, cool. You're working on a true story about Chicago street gang. Awesome. Awesome. I think you mentioned that to me before. So, well, glad you're still with that. So, um, so with Peter Crosby's story, um, he was the first Black elected sheriff in Vicksburg, Mississippi. He was formerly enslaved, and while he was in office, many of the white people, the white liners who end up being the KKK, really they forced his resignation, and so which in turn led him to go to the governor, Governor Ames, to say, "Hey, I was forced out of office," and which from there the governor told him, well, you need to take the office back. You're, rightfully elected. And so he gathered or put in a handbill into the newspapers to call people together to say, hey, I need to take my office back. And so, and when the white people saw that this happened, they got all, scared, the whole nine, when can't scare white people, especially in southern, in Mississippi in the 1800s. So, which led to the Vicksburg massacre, where hundreds of Black people were killed. There were a few, only a handful of white people that were, but. So I'm in the midst of going through the testimonies because Congress, thankfully, they held a hearing about this, and so not many, but quite a few courageous Black people actually did testify. A lot of them that were there, they went into hiding, never to be seen again because they were just afraid for their lives. But a few courageous souls, including Peter Crosby. Hmm? Yes, completely true. Yes. And and so he he testified. I'm right now going through the testimony of Andrew Owen, who was one of the black men that was there, and he was just talking about how they were shot at for 15 minutes straight, basically, and so can you imagine, right? Amazing, right? To and like when I found the testimonies, I had already pretty much mapped out the story overall, because I had read quite a few books that mentioned the Vicksburg massacre. Mentioned Peter Crosby and his journey and story, but yeah, yep, right, and so when I came across the actual testimonies, I was so excited, and because not only could I hear Peter's actual voice and really know how he felt and his tone. Because a lot of times with historical things, unless they have written a lot of letters, or had a lot of newspaper reports, you really don't get to hear their tone of voice. And their feelings and their thoughts of things. And so, like I was saying, right now I'm going through reading Andrews, and him telling like his account of what happened. I had skipped over. I had been, reading it from the beginning, and then I just got tired of hearing so, because I knew what happened. I had, read all the summaries and read other books about it. But when in the beginning of the testimonies, it was like all these white testimonies, and they were just lying over and over again. I'm like, and with me knowing what actually happened, I was like, so at first I was, it was just humorous to me because I'm like, okay, you guys are just lying, lying, lying. And then I just got annoyed. And so I was like, let me just get to the black people. So I just scrolled ahead to start reading Andrew, even though I had read Peter's testimony first when I first saw the transcripts. But now I'm backtracking to, go through and reading. Yes, it's the challenge of historical research. I'm doing some as well. It's touched, especially in older time periods when things weren't documented well. Yes, very true, very true. And especially if you're focusing on Black people, is there a lot of the newspapers were destroyed, the printing presses were destroyed. And one of the things that I will do after I'm done finally going through all of the testimonies, I will go down to Los Angeles, uh, the library downtown, to look up the old newspapers, because one of the guys that I don't know if you have seen him in my From Discord to Harmony series, Stephen Nevin, and he works at Harvard, and he was telling me that I could still find a lot of the newspapers in like in the archival at the library. So that would be my last step, because like I said, I've read a lot of books, and going through the testimonies, I really want to find like the other characters weren't featured in the actual books that I have read about the Vicksburg massacre. So now I'm getting, so because I want to, as you're writing, you want to lay out, you want to set up the other earlier characters or people rather, because and build into it. So yeah. So let's see. Got any questions or thoughts before we get back into it? And make sure both of you subscribe and hit the notification bell for YouTube, so you know when I'm on. I mean, we'll be on at 5 a.m. every day for 30 days. The link I had sent out before, I thought that was, oh, hey, were you writing this for TV? I'm writing for as a novel series, and in hopes to turn it into a television series. I really would like to control have the IP, so that's why I'm doing it as a novel series. And in my experience in the past, it's been so, even though a lot of like with the Gilded Age, people are starting to really focus on that time period. But I just know, like, throughout my time here in Hollywood, it's been really a struggle trying to get our stories told, especially from this time period. And there's so many stories in this time period. It's really amazing. Just and there's the time. All right. Let's see. Pepper, what else you say? I did already. Yes. Yeah. Again. Yes. I'm gonna make this happen. All right. Let's get back to it. Another 25 minutes. All righty. I'm going to stop this now. How did that go for everyone? Well, for me, I found it was so interesting. In one of the books I read about Peter Crosby, I knew that after went great, still digging into research over here, and great, awesome, awesome. Um, so in one of the books I read about Peter Crosby, so the whole thing when they got him out of office, he was forced out of office. A 600 mob came to his sheriff's office to make him resign. Can you imagine that? 600 people came to his office to make him resign. So he resigned under force, and he got on his horse and he rode to someone, and then from there he took the train to Jackson to meet with the governor. I never knew who that person was. In my mind, I had already started writing the scene. I had found out about this other a black judge in the area, so I was going to have him meet with that particular person. Andrew actually is the guy that he met with, and so I was so excited to see like the play by play of everything of him, like the person that first Peter sent ahead to tell him that Peter was on his way to his house, and then the discussions that they had at the house, and then with then Peter and the guy that he had sent ahead of time to um, to Andrew's home. They both left on the train, or they actually, well, what I know is that they both left his house. He's not for sure if the guy that gave him the notification of Peter coming, if he was actually went to Jackson with him, but just to know that, to have more detail, to actually have the actual information, that who Peter went to before he actually went to the governor to seek help. So, yay! I was super excited. I almost stopped the whole thing to talk about that because I was so excited to find that out. And so that's it for today. So I hope to see you both here tomorrow. And again, you guys can come in and out. I'm doing this for 30 days to make sure that I recreate or create my habit again of getting up and and doing my research and writing and the whole nine. So please tell other people, let them know that I'm doing this, and would love to have more people know about it, and we can get our projects going and done and so forth. So again, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you know that I'm on. And yeah, so I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Anything else before I hit the end button? I think this is great. Our early sessions back in the day helped me write my last book. Yay, that's great. Same time, different day. That is correct. All right. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye bye.